Okay. Hi, everybody. This is Josh with Inktology. Welcome to today's live stream. It's just a simple, drawing. I'm just going to start inking this, and I wanted to do it with you guys. And yeah, so I'm going to get into it. It's kind of zoomed in. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see a little bit more of the drawing. Sorry, I'm trying to also record a little bit of the footage as I go, and I'm using a different camera for that, so. Multitasking. Anyways, hope you're doing well, and it's a beautiful Saturday where I'm at in California. Hopefully where you're at's nice. If it's not, I hope it gets better, because that's what matters. All right, let me pull up this live stream. Sorry. Now, I just recently got these zebra Japanese brush pens and stuff, and they are fantastic. So I'm going to give this a go. I'll start with Ehud. Wow, I love how fine this pen is. What am I listening to? Please do forgive me. I chose a random copyright free thing and didn't really vet it. Here we go. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, let's get weird with it. So, if you're unfamiliar with Ehud and the story of Judges of the Bible, and the Bible is it's a compiled collection of religious texts from different Jewish and Christian and possibly even other ones, as might not even follow along those, with the Songs of Solomon and other books, but the Bible is a collection that was kind of compiled throughout time slowly. It's a misconception that they were done at the Council of Nicaea. That was the Trinity. That was about whether or not God was, three parts in divinity. But the book of Judges falls into the ancient Jewish or Hebrew text of the Israelites, the formation of Israel, and the success of Yahweh / El, who becomes God, right? And this is during the time of a pantheon of gods. Nothing new for that region of Mesopotamia and the Mediterranean. And that's the story of the Old Testament. The Old Testament's an amazing collection of books because they're this mixture of a nation's history or a people's history, a people group, fighting and warring, using their gods as reason for all these successes and also failures and oppressions in their history. It's not just the Israel community destroying other tribes and stuff like that, but they also get oppressed, and that's where the Book of Judges comes in. Man, music, you're intense. In the Book of Judges, you have I do apologize. You have this oppression overtake the Israelites, and they're like, well, we need our God to do something, but actually their God is the one who authorized the oppression. And right now with Ehud, they've already been oppressed for, I think it's like 18 years by King Eglon of the Moabites, who's a neighboring, territory. And they might have even had trade with them because they were just intermingling with different people groups in that little area. And each place had different gods. And right now, the god Chemosh and the god, Chemosh and, oh man, there's like three others that are being worshipped by the Moabites and other areas. But the Israelites are known for being like, hey, it's our God or no God, right? And that's where we get these wars that come in. And their God Yahweh, even though oppressing them, is like, well, you know what? I'm oppressing you, but I'm going to send someone to help you out. And he's going to be this left-handed dude who you would never expect. And he's going to set you free for quite some time, for a few decades. I think it's like, is it 80 years or something of that nature? I have to look back at the Bible. But yeah. And the interesting thing about left-handed people were they weren't negatively looked at, but they weren't positively looked at, right? But in military in that time, the left-handed man would be a very useful combatant because a lot of your fighters would be using their right hand to draw the sword, the right hand and left hand to defend. And so they were trained against that kind of battle. But when you have someone who's ambidextrous or able to just use their left hand, well, the other fighter has to learn how to cope with that. And that just made them much more of a devastating, military fighter if you were left-handed. But they also were able to have precision, like really keen fighting skills as well. And that was explained in the Bible in, I think, another book or a few chapters. It talks about this tribe being really good, these fighters being really good with the left hands. So Ehud, being left-handed, his story is about taking out a King Eglon. But how he does it is really fascinating because there's this perversion, there's this kind of tension in the different ways of like between this mix of gods, how they like, I guess you abuse one god gets mad at the other god, so they just Yahweh wants to take them out. And I think that's really cool because it's a side of religion that is often ignored, is the spiritual realm that they claim exists, right? And the Bible has a lot of really cool stories. Are they all true? No, but are they fun? Oh yeah. So this one with Ehud, I'm going to be kind of expanding his story. And this is one of the first pages where he is fighting his friend, Goel. Now, some people think that the Bible is pure fantasy or mythology. And though it does have quite a bit of mythology to it, it is also, this people's history in some extent, and deciphering what's true and not is, is kind of difficult. But I'm trying to get in here. Let me change pens. In which, let me see, is that too thin? It should be fine. Zoom in for you guys. There we go. Sorry for the shakiness. It's like these vibrations from my chair to the wall or something. And what fascinates me about the Ehud story is that, um, well, this is a complicated matter to even just do live stream and talk about, but it's like the Bible. I think people think that the Jewish religion, has all these very strict rules, in which they do, but they also have like this weird leniency in the weirdest ways. And they allow this like story where the Ehud story, he sneaks into this king's place and practically almost sleeps with him in order to kill him, and it's like, it's very horrendously gross. It talks about like poop coming out whenever he does it and everything like that, because he's on the toilet or something, or in the bed, or wherever he's at. Is believed to be taking a dump at the moment, but nonetheless, just very graphic and very interesting for the Bible to have. And most people don't think of that story because they don't ever really read about it and think about what's happening in it. But I like it. I think it's a lot of dynamic history there to talk about left-handed people this way, as well as how they're being oppressed and how this god Chemish was in conflict to the Israelites, God, and this oppression that their own God put them through. This is quite cool. This does not mean I side with what Israel does or believes in or anything of that nature. I just find the biblical text fascinating, mainly because I grew up with it. So, and as for Christians, when I grew up in the Christian faith, they create their own narratives out of the Old Testament, which is really fascinating, because they try to use theology to interpret all these things that aren't truly what's there, but they do what they want with it. But I like seeing history for what it is, and whether or not the mythology has more to say than what just theology has to say, which is way more fun, I think. Not knocking your beliefs. If you've got beliefs in it, hey, you do you. Bring peace to the world. However you bring peace, as long as it's not violently, I guess. I have a fun trope in here with him, because he's does my live stream not working? Oh my gosh, am I like not even live? I'll be pissed if that's the case. No, I'm live. Okay. Yeah, what are you doing, internet? Okay, sorry guys. Weird. Okay, let's try that again. There we go. All right. All right, let's begin. don't know if you're the kind of artist like I am, but whenever you start drawing something, you start making these marks, especially with pen. You looking at it and asking yourself, like, was that the right choice? Should I have made those marks? Does it look better or worse? Should I continue? Oh my gosh, I feel like that half the time I'm drawing. But I guess it's good to remember that until the drawing's done, who knows what can happen? And it might look amazing with all these mistakes, so I like to continue. I gotta live a little bit. And if it totally does look like trash afterwards, hey, at least you completed a drawing and you're like, yeah, got that in my belt. One down. Oh God, I'm finding myself with the worst posture right now. I was supposed to post the video today, and I may still try to make one later, but I have just been out of this world busy, and what can I say? I'm only one man, and I am not one of those amazing, awesome YouTubers that can just really bump out all this stuff and edit it, and I wish I could. If this was like me, like whenever I was in my 20s, late 20s, going into 30s, like I could have pumped out so many videos had I been bold enough to use YouTube at the time whenever it wasn't that popular, and I was doing some Korean news little YouTube channel thing that was actually picking up, but doing all the green screen stuff on my own was tough, and the jokes were hard, so kind of gave up on that. But either way, if I would have stayed with it, man, I could have had a really nice channel. It'd be nice to be able to do this, wake up and do this every day and know that I have fun with other artists on the community, would be cool. Guess I'm building that now, yeah? Yeah. Well, if you're tuning in, I hope that you're having a good Saturday wherever you're at, and that you can find some time to draw and make some cool art and create. If you're creative, there's something about creating gives you energy. It gives you this power, this I guess fluid in your soul. And I always want to promote people to use that when they have it, when they can use it, when they have the time to use it. They forget how much energy comes from it. They go to work every day, they come home. The maximum thing they're going to do is probably read a book. And reading a book is great, fantastic. But I think that a lot of us are creatives, and we just need that opportunity and that time and space to just, let it out, let it go. Like build a model set, or do some Legos, or draw something, or paint something, or something creative that's ours. And afterwards, you go to work, you do all these other things, and then you come back and you see that thing, and you're like, oh, at the end of the day, I did that. I get to keep. That's me all the way through, and that's something that someone, nobody can take from you. I feel like maybe that's what the youth today have forgotten, to enjoy the creative process. Or maybe my generation's forgotten that, actually. I think maybe the millennials, they've forgotten how much we've contributed and how creative we are. Maybe that's what we need. Let's see if I can get the focus a little bit better. That's the zoom. About as good as I'm gonna get, guys. Where's my coffee? Oh no coffee. Man. You ever draw something? You mean not draw something? You've seen something in your head and you're like, dude, I've got to get this on paper. And you rush to get it on paper, or however you're going to jot it down. But then, like, the universe is against you in every way. Like, you can't find your pen. You can't find the paper. You can't even remember what you're about to draw anymore. And you're like, oh my gosh, like, what a cool idea. I knew it was a good idea, and now it's gone. Gone. Isn't life funny? Like, how many people throughout history in the universe, through the generations, have had that moment? You know, how many women and kids and men have been at work or somewhere, and they've had a genius, $1 billion idea, and it slipped through some outside source, you know? Yep. I'm not going to be able to finish him. You can see in real time how long it takes me to ink one of my characters in these drawings, because what I end up doing is I start laying out these shadows and this shading technique here, and then after I'm done laying it out, I'll go back over and fill in some spots and try out new stuff. And I like trying stuff when I shade and learn, and you can see all my mistakes. But you know what? When you go to, like, I went to Frida Kahlo's house the other day, you know, because we're friends, even though she's been dead for who knows how long. No, I went to Mexico City recently, and I went to her house, and she was married to an artist, a guy, and a very famous one. And right now my brain is just not working to say his name. I don't know why. Yep, can't think of it. Anyways, I got Kahlo, and I looked at her paintings and her drawings, and yeah, man, they're interesting. They're beautiful. They're dark and sinister with this, like, self-deprecation thing going on. But at the same exact time, they're beautiful. They're encouraging. They're the things that she needs to jot down or paint because it's in her heart. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna never let her sleep if she can't put it on paper or on canvas. But then there was these sketches of hers that were not that great. They were actually kind of janky. They were bad proportions, real rough and raspy kind of drawings. But we as artists, I think in the non-artist too, and anyone can appreciate the creative adventure that style, that little jot had in it. And I think you should never throw away your drawings, for one. I'm really bad at doing that. I did that my whole life. That's why I have no portfolio, because I threw away and burned a lot of my stuff. I don't know why. I'm weird. Yeah. Anyways, dumb me, because I had really good stuff, but can't bring it back. Anyways, let's move on. You should keep your drawings, and then just see your progression and be encouraged by the fact that you're growing and learning. I mean, I'm not the greatest in the world, but I'm going to keep on doing it, because whether I get better or not, actually, I'm going to create these stories, because what's most important is that I have fun. And I've always had fun since I was a little kid drawing. This is fun. And you can tell me otherwise, but I'm not going to believe you. But I truly believe in making sure your life is full of light and life. And that may mean adventuring off the beaten path and not doing what the world wants you to do, and do what it's right for you. How many creative people have been hindered by their parents, because their parents want them to be doctors, because they know that money is going to give them security or something. But then these kids, they have such a talent and such a skill that could probably bring in more money than any doctor could. But lack of creativity and a huge amount of ignorance, I think, and fear probably lead to these people never being able to explore that route in their life. And that saddens me. I think it should sadden anybody. You know what I think of art is? I think art is when a flower blossoms. It's the same kind of tone. There's so much process of building and growing for the flower to do, and eventually, once it's there, it paints this picture by blossoming out, and then we get to share in this beauty for a brief moment, even if our art is just good for a second, or to a few. If one person just passes by and sniffs it, and even if they hate it, at least they looked at it. Like, hey, at least you gave it attention. But when we do art, we love the fact that people can cherish it with us. And even if they don't, hey, you get to cherish your own beauty, so live in it. It's for you anyways, not for them. It's just fun to make it for people sometimes. Trying to draw my family a family portrait. I told them to do the most radical, weird, dressed up thing ever, something creepily weird. And they did it. They actually did do it, each one of the family members. And I was like, okay, they took it a little bit far, but okay, we can work with this. And they think I'm going to paint them in these outfits and do it. I just wanted to make them dress up and do some weird poses. And yeah, they did it. But I think they had fun as a family, so, Sometimes you just got to do things just to do things. But I'm going to put them in Renaissance outfits, actually, so I don't know how I'm going to do that. All right. You guys ever fall asleep drawing? I fall asleep drawing. I've done it so many times live streaming, actually. If you ever watch me draw and you just see me stop for a second and like kind of look like I'm drawing, or maybe like stroll off slowly, that's because I fell asleep. My brain's fighting to continue. I do it for the people. It's hard. So sleepy. And drawing, like, though it's fun to draw, it can be kind of redundant in many ways when you're inking. And penciling I don't usually fall asleep on because that's the creative part. But inking, I'm just like putting these lines and I'm just filling in these patterns, and patterns make me sleepy. The story I have of Ehud here is a short story. I'm going to sell it as a book, and these are going to be one of the pages in the book. And the reason why I'm going to the novel aspect instead of the comic book is because I want this to be a collection of not only mythological expansions to the Jewish world and the Judaic ancient Jewish world. Not that it'd be considered true or anything of that nature, but just something that people can sit in and look at and go, what is the teaching of this if it's utilizing biblical teachings that it's trying to do? And I would do the same for, Buddhism and Islam and stuff, is include that kind of teaching if I was creating art for that culture. The biblical one just has a lot of violence that I have already known and studied for a long time, so I'm going to work with that for now. But for this, anywho, so now I gotta fix this dark shadow thing. I did. So I have Ehud here in this short story, starting off in the brawl as kids. It's like young 12, 13-year-old boys in the marketplace. Now, they're doing this to get money and kind of steal while they can. Steal apples by bumping into like stalls, bumping into people, snatching their coins and things of that nature. It's one of the ways people know that's what they do, kind of. There's going to be that tone, but they're still very clever and get away with it because, kids, they're smart. Kids are smart. Okay. So I'm using a Molotov black liner right now. This is a 0.05. It's pretty small. It's good. So I have about 15 more minutes before I have to get off. This is going to be a short little live stream. Mainly because I have guests coming over and I got things to do, guys. But I hope to just show you how this is going and kind of give you a heads up. I want to do a Kickstarter on it. I think it's going to be really cool. I've been studying this for a couple years now and trying to figure out how to really build out this new world for the Christian community in using biblical stories, art, and history, archaeology, and stuff to kind of encourage it, but then also teach them that it's not true. In some ways, like this story may not be. It may be true. Who knows? It may be true. Maybe the only documentation is hearsay, and that's how they got it. But stories of Noah's Ark and stuff are Mesopotamian, and you've got they're old from and other nations around at that time before, even thousands of years before, had mentioned stuff that were become biblical stories later. There are some unique ones to the Bible, but many of them, if not most, fall into the lines into the Greek mythology and many other ones at that time. So, which makes sense because that's what happens when, that people group come over to your country and your nation and take over. So, yeah, it just makes sense. Oh, what do I got a shirt here? But what's cool about this story is that I'm going to be compiling my own narratives and lessons through the angels' stories. In fact, it's not so much it's the angels who are viewing this and working alongside to create these events, while at the same time this universe is going this direction. Like, let's say the human experience is going horizontally this way, then the spiritual direction would be going that direction. Inevitably, what would end up happening is they would just loop and become the same thing, a figure eight of infinite self-destructive nature, which is how the whole Bible will be, because that's inevitably what the Bible is in itself, a creation story, but then it fails to be destroyed, and then eventually Revelation come, and God destroys everything through fire, only to build a new heaven, which would be, we're not flying away, it'd have to be on earth, it just have to be new people and start all over. Religion would change altogether again. Hey Josh, I'm late again, and I think it's looking good. Hey, thanks Randy, thanks for joining. I'm almost done. Short one today, I think. Let's see, how long have I been doing it? How come it doesn't say the time? Oh, it says 40 minutes. So I got 20 more minutes. I'm going to make sure I get an hour in here. Hope you're having a good day, Randy. Drawing it up. You've been getting pretty good, dude. Been seeing those drawings. Very, very nice. Your lines are getting cleaner. The strokes and everything. I mean, yeah, keep it up. Keep it up. Now, when I was in my, let me zoom out a little bit. My friends who draw with me, we used to like go get paper and just sit down and draw together. It's just fun to draw with another person. At least that's what I feel. Oh, I'm still recording? God. Sorry. I keep forgetting I have two cameras and one's recording too, and then I get it, leave it on and it just records and I don't do anything. Or I'm in its way. My friends were like, they really liked how clean my lines were, but this was because I worked really hard to clean them. I used to have a very Todd McFarlane style because I kind of learned from Todd McFarlane and Jim Lee and those cats. But I started changing up the style because I wanted more of an older, I don't know. I like the 1950s look of sketches and stuff where things are kind of realistic, but they're not. Anyways, outside of that, back to the point. My clean lines were cleaned up because I realized that the sketching part, I was following the pencil lines. And that's why I went to ink, was because I couldn't get my pencil lines to be super clean looking. I didn't feel like they were clean because I had such a, see how light everything is here? That's because I draw light, and you shouldn't really draw light. You should draw with lots of contrast so you know, but I draw light and it does me dirty in the end, for teaching me how to actually contrast and shade them with pen. But once I went to pen, I realized, I have to be clean. Like, these lines depend on me. You know what I mean? I can't be sketchy unless that's the style. But I always envied the comic book artists who had this clean, beautiful line work. So I really tried hard. And I think if you're a you're an artist, especially if you're a new artist, and your lines, and you don't know why your art looks rough and stuff, and that's because you probably you love your character so much that you forget to step back and draw more of a clean line look than a rough, fast, get it on paper thing. But it takes time, though. It takes time to learn the technique. It takes time to be bold in it, because you have to be confident that this is what you want, and some of the lines you have to press hard on the paper for to have that thick line. But yeah, it produces great stuff. And then you can go back to rough. Is what you're looking at here is like going from clean to back to rough. I think my stuff is getting there. I want to have more of a rough look too. I think there's just more movement involved. But I'm going to still maintain some clean lines around. A long way to go. That's the fun part. I have a long way to go too if I'm going to be like Da Vinci and Michelangelo, but you know, that's the fun thing. I'll never be like Michelangelo, even though that'd be awesome. Like the skill level there for some other artists that I see online, I'm like, these people deserve their award, their cookie too, you know. But the process of getting, doing what they do and stuff is fun. I gotta just stop caring so much. That's my problem. I care too much. I should have had this book out last year. It should have been easily out last year, but I've been pushing it off because I've been so wrapped up in 1,000 other things. So this New Year's resolution, which I'm trying to practice before New Year's, is this. And it's focusing and finishing on projects that I start and then moving on and not taking on new tasks because I think that would be a quick fix or something. My channel might take a hit because I'm not putting out like, how to draw this or that, which I may have to do actually. Maybe I'll start doing that easy videos of how to draw instead of these drawings of gods, because I don't really think anybody cares about the gods so much. I like it, but I always second guess myself when I'm like speaking about these things that I've learned or I'm trying to write down for the script and stuff. And it's because like I know how like even Christianity, you can teach anything about it, but then you'll find that people who've studied it in other ways, not even more deeply, just in other ways, has a totally different resource. And they're like, well, actually, this is this and this and this. I'm like, oh, well, okay, well, now I'm not going to go change my video because that information is being presented. Even though it's valid information, it's just like there's just no way to get it all into a video, especially a 10-minute video where you're drawing and just having fun. So I don't know, maybe I should do more tutorials instead of these gods. Let me know in the comments what you think. I still want to finish the Norse gods though, because I want to do a proper Thor and a proper Odin. I'm also relaunching my card game where it uses Norse mythology. I had a Kickstarter and a Comic-Con and stuff that was almost pretty successful. I think it was pretty good, but it failed because of the it didn't reach its goal. I put too high of a goal, dumb me. But it's a fun game. It's based off of a Japanese and Korean game called Ghost Stop. I forget the Japanese name of it, but there's these like little rectangle hard plastic cards that you slap down when you have matching pairs or something. So we made a Norse version, but it's not Norse. It's more like Lord of the Rings. It's got elves and orcs and stuff, but I may actually switch it to Norse. I don't know. I haven't thought about it because I guess I can't because I'm using dwarves and I love the dwarf. The dwarf is the best character. I love the dwarves. They're the best. Yeah, and I have a wizard, so I can't do that. So it's pretty much, honestly, not Lord of the Rings, Dungeons and Dragons meets Lord of the Rings meets, that whole mythological realm of things. That's why I did decent at Comic-Con, but didn't get enough on Kickstarter to succeed. But I'm gonna relaunch it. Should be good. My other game, I Am Champion, which is a very cool battle card game. I'm trying to create a video game right now for it, so I'm doing the demo, and a lot of my time has been going to that, which I wish I could like post on my process on that on this channel, but I don't think anybody wants to see an ink artist do video game stuff. So, you know, pick and choose your battles. But the video game, I Am Champion, is gonna be awesome. We have 150 champions to pick from. Well, you're not gonna be able to pick all of them actually, but a lot of them you will, and we'll have more come out once those deplete, and then this will be like Pokemon, but with warriors you can battle with, and instead of just capturing them. So we're and it's got a whole Mortal Kombat vibe where you're kind of like you go up this ranking tier to the boss level, and you unlock characters that you beat and stuff. It's gonna be fun. Yeah, got a lot going on. Preparing for 2026 to be my use of energy is actually what I'm going to be using it for. I think this year and the last year I've kind of been taking a break, kind of like stepping back and kind of being a little mopey about my life. And life is hard, Life is, when you get older, I swear to God, it's the craziest thing. It's like when people tell you that when you get older, oh no, camera. I remember to turn it off. Oops. That life is hard. Yeah, I think it's harder for sure. You lose people, and then jobs are harder, and then, oh man, body hurts. That's the crazy thing. That whole body thing, it's legit. I'm hurting all over for some reason. I'm like, what's? It's probably because I'm not working out though. That's the honest truth. I need to go back to the gym. You know what? You're right, guys. I'm going back to the gym today. I'm gonna go sign up after this. I do need to go to the gym though. I feel like my bones are brittle. Okay. Gonna finish him up and then we'll be good to go. Just want to show you my process for this page and this graphic novel which I've been writing, and on the story of Ehud. It's gonna be a fun. It's actually a trilogy, which is cool, because this story here is going to be the introduction of the boys' culture at the time, the lead up of Israel being oppressed and needing a judge. Well, no, I guess it's kind of a mix, because the other story is Eglon. I want to show how he has been justified to do the oppression. But I have the spiritual version of the side where the angels are in it as well. So it's really fun. I want you to fall in love with the bad guy, of course, Eglon. And then I want to steal him from you. That's what I want to do. I want to rip him from your hearts. So I'm going Game of Thrones with this comic, just to let you know. It's going to be grotesque and hardcore. It's going to be adult, mature for sure. It will not be for kids. I mean, kids could read it. I don't care. They need some reality anyways. It's not anything like they probably don't see on TV, I'm sure. But I don't recommend it. Definitely 18 and older, I would recommend. But I remember being a kid and like being a rebel, so. But I'm making it adult because I think the Bible is very adult. I don't think the Bible is a kid's story. I don't think you can dumb it down to a Noah's Ark child's thing. I think that's very ignorant of mankind to do. It's an abuse of the religious. It's, all it is pure manipulation. That's all that is. That's brainwashing manipulation when you have to take a story that considers killing the entire human race because a god thought they weren't good enough or they weren't worshiping enough and they were evil. Who is a god to create something that has consciousness and then take their lives away when he doesn't agree what is good to them, when he should have created them to be good if that was the case he wanted them to be? So, yeah, I don't think the Noah's Ark should be included into kids' stories. I don't think there's a single story in the Bible that is really Jesus' story. Jesus is kind of kid-friendly until he gets, tortured, crowned with thorns, beaten to death, stabbed in the chest, and yeah. I guess there isn't anything kid friendly. So, all that to say is, I'm excited to write my book and draw them out and get a little wild. Also going to be showing the Antichrist. That's what's cool. The Antichrist, biblical Antichrist, is going to come up, which is going to be neato. Because he'll be my biggest drawing. My most difficult drawing. But you won't get him into the very, 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 very last book of the whole Bible collection. Which I might not even be alive when that happens, so who knows. But I'll have the story out, that's for sure. Okay, so Randy says, I actually have a story idea set around the events of Revelation. Talks about, one interpretation of it. Ooh, you do ya? What do you got? Revelation is pretty awesome. It's pretty terrifying, very graphic, and has dragons, and scrolls and seals and stuff. I think, if anything, it's the alien apocalypse that it would be speaking of. If this was true, I think it'd be aliens, because it would only make sense that an outer source planet would return to this planet as some kind of microbial entity would, or some kind of bacteria would, throughout the galaxies. Because if you look at all these balls floating throughout space, it looks a lot similar to molecules in the way atoms work. So if that would be the case, the way they collide and intersect, I would imagine that the revelation of pretty much doomsday would be either another meteorite, or aliens. But then again, Revelation was created for Nero, and the Revelation's already finished. It's completed, so we don't have to worry about it. So only the interpretation of Christians that modern Christianity think that Revelation hasn't happened yet, because they don't place it with the Nero, and I think it was 50 AD, 500 AD, 385 AD. Man, I get my dates all mixed up. But yeah. But I want to hear I would love to know. You can put in Discord. That'd be fun. Or maybe not. Just keep it to yourself. Never mind. Why am I getting all nosy? My bad. The way I have Revelation happen is going to be, the way I have to create it for this whole thing to work, I can't really reveal either, I suppose. But think Inception meets Interstellar, 2 Nolan films, meets what's that movie? My gosh. Silence by Martin Scorsese. With the, of course, address of the epic end, but I have seen the light, and I shall reveal it. Yeah, I just have a really good idea. I think it's going to work. Will it be good? I don't know, but I'm going to make it. I'm going to do it. Trying something new with the dirt on the ground. I wanted like these waves of dirt kind of flowing, something a little bit more liquid-like, and that's because I wanted. I could do the simple smoke and stuff, but it looks so rigid and so dull. It looks like it's floating. I wanted the kind of the waves to kind of make it feel like there's this almost a drape of or cloth-like dust storm he's dragging around with his feet on purpose to kind of like it follows where he goes, because that I want to play into the dust, the smoke, kind of like where he stumbles, it'll be smoky, so that way, or dusty, so he can snatch like people's purses and whatnot. Well, at least that's what I'm trying to visually tell through this, but we'll see if it interprets correctly when people read and, you know, look at this drawing. Couple minutes left. Thank you guys so much for watching today. I'm sorry I didn't post right away. I've fallen behind, but that's why I'm on live, to give you something at least, and I hope that's okay. Also, if you could like and subscribe, could really get to that point where I get monetized, it'd be great. So I can actually start doing this for some income. That'd be great. But if I don't, hey, I'll still be here. So whatever, doesn't matter. You do you. I just hope you have a good Saturday. Enjoy your Saturday. Create something cool. Draw something cool. If it's not cool, just have fun then. Just enjoy your day. Because today's the only day you're going to get like it. Yeah. It's the only Saturday like this you'll ever get. Think about that. Anyways, this is Ehud. And he's scratched up, he's bleeding. He's a street kid. It's like Aladdin, that's what he is. He's like Aladdin. There'll be shadows in here. And remember, go easy on yourself. Making things in art is not the easiest thing to do, but it should always be the most fun thing to do. So if you're doing it for some kind of satisfaction of quality, maybe you should step back and go, hey, I should be doing it because it's fun. It takes my mind off of life, and I enjoy it. Yeah. Anyways, let's call it quits, guys. I got to get ready and cook some food and clean the apartment. But you guys rule. Randy, thank you for watching. You're always amazing, and of course, the coolest. And I hope that you have a good Saturday. Hope all of you have good Saturdays. This is, wow, it's going to take me some time. My gosh. That took me an hour for one guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You got maybe 9, 10 hours to complete this thing. I would complete this inking. 10 hours of my life for one page. I gotta do 30. Well, okay, okay, well, all right, okay. There goes my life. Okay, well, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you're creative, go create. This is Inkology.